lastly, on the change front is Washington State. And this is a situation, this was a situation where I felt like there was the potential. I think I was pretty excited about Washington State coming in because thinking about like, oh, they've been kind of moving in the right direction. They're going to have this kind of like 2-year window of what are they going to do, everything else. Like they had a relatively new AD. They had Kyle Smith as the head coach. And I was half concerned as like considering the year Washington State had that he could take a job elsewhere. But I was like, well, maybe he will stay and kind of like feel this one out. But as it turns out, Kyle Smith took the job at Stanford, and the AD Pat Chun took the job at Washington, which now leaves Washington State without a head coach, without an AD, and they also had 9 players hit the transfer portal, including 5 players who played more than 10 minutes a game this past year. Miles Rice, one of their key guards, nearly 15 points a game. He hit the transfer portal. So Washington State is in a tough spot right now, and maybe not necessarily like definitely not in the favorable spot that we thought they might be going into the WCC in year one on the men's basketball side. Because now it's starting to look like, well, even with Washington State, like with the teams that are going to return, with the players that seem like that are sticking around in the WCC, and the teams that look like that they're building, Washington State, like initially I was like, okay, they feel like they're going to be a top 4 team. Now they feel like they're going to be closer to 5, 6, if that. Oregon State feels roughly the same on paper, kind of going into the year. And so this is going to be, I think, a critical point for Washington State, because there's so many different options they can go to. Because for any AD looking for a job, for any head coach looking for a job, this Washington State job becomes very precarious because there are so many unknowns. There's so many unknowns of what's going to happen in 2 years. Are they going to find the football league? Are they going to put that together? Are they in Oregon State going to figure it out? Are they going to poach the Mountain West? Are they going to be stuck holding the bag and end up just sitting there in the WCC for longer than the 2-year period? Because what are you hiring? What level are you hiring at? Right now, Washington State doesn't really look like the same Washington State job as it did even just 2 weeks ago. With the changes that with the changes at the top that have happened, with the uncertainty of where they still are at this point, and the uncertainty hasn't changed. Like that was going to happen one way or the other, regardless of whether or not you had the AD and head coach leave. That still was the same case. But now there is this. But now it feels like there's a little bit of like this leadership, not quandary. It's like this leadership void is going to be incredibly important for the university to figure out, because going into this 2-year window, it feels like you need to figure it out sooner rather than later, so that you have some level of stability within that athletic program. Because if you don't, this could get away quickly, and the situation for they and Oregon State when it comes to trying to rebuild whatever college football playoff eligible league that they want to build becomes that much more challenging.